What they found in Antelope Canyon still makes me sick. On a summer day in 1997, 10 French tourists hiked through the world-famous Antelope Canyon, accompanied by an American guide. At first, everything on this hike was going to plan, but halfway in, something very strange happened. 5 of the tourists began to feel this mysterious, unexplainable dread, like deep inside of them. And so these 5 tourists made the decision to turn around and hike back out of the canyon. And though they didn't know it yet, that single choice would become the best and most important decision of their entire lives. Their guide was 28-year-old Francisco Pancho Quintana, who was a construction worker from Los Angeles who also part-timed as a guide for Trek America. Only a few minutes after those 5 French hikers turned around and left, Pancho felt something change. At first, it was just an instinct that kind of made him freeze up a little bit. You know that feeling when like the hair on the back of your neck stands up, but you're not really sure why. But then he realized that something had shifted in the air. It was wind, but the knot in his stomach tightened because that gust of wind became a constant breeze. Something bad was gonna happen. And frankly, it was now go time. Everyone had to run. As they ran through the narrow passageways, Pancho heard one of the tourists behind him say that it felt like they were in an Indiana Jones movie. But at the very same time, everything around them started to shake. The dirt from the ground started to kind of jump and rattle. The massive sandstone walls of the canyon were kind of like jolting left and right. And that's when Pancho heard a sound. It was like the engine of a jet plane starting low and then getting louder and louder. And Pancho knew exactly what this was. He even took a split second to kind of just take a breath. Coming directly at them was a giant wall of water, just a massive wall of water. It was time for all of them to be swept down the river. After 4 whole minutes of being thrown around in the Nightmare Sludge River, Pancho suddenly felt his hand kind of graze a rock. He grabbed it, and this collision turned his body into an eddy that was located behind a waterfall. In that eddy, he was swirling around and around in the water, and at this point, he had almost given up. Like, he was prepared to drown. He couldn't see anything, and he was in so much pain with open wounds all over his body, bleeding. And so Pancho took one final breath. And to his surprise, for the first time since before the flood began, he breathed a full mouthful of air. He was thankful to be alive, but as he was being taken to the hospital, all he could think about was what had happened to the other hikers, the people that he was guiding, the people that he was in at least some sense responsible for. And after this happened, the very next morning, a body count started to come in. 9 bodies were recovered. Some were found in the canyon still, while others were found washed miles downstream. Some of them all the way into Lake Powell, which is insane. And Pancho was the only survivor.